Last week, we talked about training your brain for growth, and I gave you 2 ways to reframe our potentially destructive thoughts. 2 questions that you can ask yourself, which was, instead of, I know this already, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? And instead of, this won't work for me, how can this work for me? So if you haven't listened to last week's episode, I'd love you to stop, pause, and go back to listen to last week's, because then this week's is going to make more sense.
Welcome to the Treat Your Business podcast, the show for clinic owners who want real, honest advice and tried and tested ways of doing things. I'm Katie Bell, and this is the new era of bigger insights and bolder conversations to help you grow a clinic and a life you love. Let's dive in.
So what we are talking about is why some people succeed and grow and go on to the next big thing and make more money and live a better life and have more time and freedom, and why some people don't. And we talked about your roadmap to results and what you can do to ensure that you're one of those people that don't sit on the sidelines, perhaps complaining, but that you make progress. And you make progress by implementing ideas, by making things happen and getting stuff done. I want to talk about, the first thing was about training your brain for growth. The second of the 5 steps is try it. Try it before you deny it. And you can't figure out how to grow from the sidelines and from just doing lots of research, doing lots of reading, listening to lots of podcasts. The only way you can figure this shit out is if you actually do it and you are willing to experiment. Everything is always figureoutable. A brilliant book by Marie Forleo. And she talks about, her book is called Everything is Figureoutable. But if you don't believe this, then you'll never grow beyond your current circumstances. If you're closed off to everything except what you currently know, you will literally just stagnate. You will top out. You will hit that ceiling. So you have to embrace this really empowering philosophy in that, and have a more useful and supportive belief that we can figure everything out. Okay. All problems and dreams are figureoutable. If it's not figureoutable, then it's probably a fact of life or a law. Or if it's not figureoutable, you probably don't care enough to figure out the problem or achieve this particular dream. And that's okay. But then we need to find another dream that really does ignite that passion and that fire within you. So you have to try it. You have to be willing to experiment. And so many people, like, we wait to have proof, we wait to feel really confident, we wait to have evidence before we do a thing. And you're never going to have that because you've not walked this path before. You have to be willing to experiment. You have to be willing to fail fast, experience it, apply it, live it, see it for yourself. If you're just looking for reasons why it won't work, then congratulations, because it won't. But neither then will anything else. So the first thing is about training your brain for growth and reframing these destructive thoughts. The second thing is about trying it, applying it, living it, breathing it, being willing to make mistakes. The next big, really important thing when we are road mapping our, to our results is to do the work. Okay. Most of you are overloaded with information. You want to acquire new information all the time. You are listening to this podcast. You probably got a whole stack of personal development books on a shelf that you have never had time to read. My intention always has been that I am 1,000,000,000% committed to helping you get results. But for that to happen, you can't just listen. You can't just sit on the sidelines. You actually have to do the work, and you have to complete the steps, the things that I'm discussing, the things that I'm encouraging you to do with your full effort because insight without action is worthless. Taking action is the only path to change. I'm about to take a massive fucking pivot in my clinic, like a huge, big, bold move. And do I know if it's going to work? No, I don't have a crystal ball. Am I feeling uncomfortable? Massively. Is it big and bold? Yes, it is. Is it necessary? Absolutely. Can't just keep doing the same shit to get to the next level. Need to do something different. But I have got to be in the game. I have to try it. I have to be willing for it to go wrong. I have to be really willing for it to go right. I have to do the work. Taking action is the only path to change. And so when we see people really growing and being successful and making a massive difference and getting the results that they're looking for, it's because they're showing up. It's because they're showing up and they're doing the work. Not every bit of work that we do creates mind-blowing insights and mind-blowing changes. But neither can we predict which challenge or which thing that you're going to do is going to trigger this massive game change or this massive shift. You'll get out of life what you put in. If you're listening to this often with the view of, oh, that was really interesting, that was a really inspirational podcast that maybe I should try that someday, one day I am going to get my numbers in place, when we've got all of these things in place, then I will do this, then I'd love you to challenge that, because now is the time is now. I always suggest when you're doing the work, give it your very best. If something doesn't make sense right now, then come back to it later, but stay in action, stay moving forwards. All it takes is one new perspective, one new tool, and your life has the potential to never be the same again. That feels like a big statement to make, but it's absolutely true. You'll also notice when you're listening to me, when you're reading my book, when you're showing up to masterclasses, when you're being coached by us, that repetition is there by design. Repetition is a key principle of how our brain develops neuroplasticity. It's how we rewire our brains, turn good ideas into permanent new ways of being and behaving, how we change habits. And this is why when we come to our life days, I get you to do the same thing at the beginning of the day, every single time. It's called getting into the vortex. It's incredible. It shifts energy. It moves all those blocks out of the way. But repetition is how we change our thoughts and our beliefs and our focus and our emotions. So you need to expect on some level that you are going to hit the same issues again and again, each time at a different level. So when you have staffing levels at a business that is maybe just around 100k a year, those staffing issues, they're not going to go away. They're just going to come back at a different level, and probably in a slightly different way. The goal always with the stuff that you're learning on this podcast is to master the real fundamental mindset and habits that you need to figure out anything then for the rest of your life. You don't need 479 billion things in a morning to get you in that right mindset as your morning routine, dozens of complex time-consuming techniques. It just requires you to show up, to do the work, to be willing to play the game, and to train your brain for a growth mindset. Nothing, whether it's with me, another coach, from a book, will work unless you do these things. You've got to experiment. It isn't going to happen in 1 week, in 1 month. That is why we coach people for a minimum of 12 months. And people that stop sooner than that are those that are not willing to play the game long enough. And I know that feels a very bold statement to make, but it's true. It's what I said before on a previous podcast, when we really look at things get really fucking messy. They get really messy for a while before we feel like we're coming out the other side. And that's where we have to dig deep. So this is about being courageous and having the courage to show up, to play the game, to do the work, to commit, to be willing to make mistakes, and to be willing to really succeed and have an incredible life. And the last thing is, I guess, something that we do really well in Thrive is that when you use all of that I just talked to you about, and then you stick it and apply it in collaboration with others, you'll actually reach your collective goals faster with a much greater sense of joy, a much greater sense of creativity, a much greater camaraderie, a much greater level of fun. And this is why one of the greatest joys about our live days together and being in this community is connecting with growth-minded, creative people like you. We have members within our community that have made lifelong friends, and they won't want to leave because they won't want to leave the community. They won't want to leave the friends that they've made. They won't want to be the person that's not in the group. And I say that because that's really important. We are social beings. We need to be a part of something. So when you are willing to show up, to do the work, for it to get messy, to be in the game, to earn the stripes, and do it around like-minded individuals who've got your back and who are going to push you further and farther than you've ever been able to do by yourself, that's when the magic happens. So you have the power to hold yourself back, but we have the power to make you move forwards and hold you accountable and be your biggest cheerleaders. So if this feels like where you are right now and that you're trying to figure this out by yourself and you're trying to do this alone, then know that it is figureoutable. Like all the problems that you see in your business right now, they're all figureoutable. And often our clients say to me, Katie, you just make it sound really simple. And I'm like, because it generally is. We've just overthought it. We've got in our own way. Our own mindset has stalled us or convinced us of why it's not going to work or why we need to do things differently. So I guess this podcast originally came off the back of something that happened at Clinic Growth Live, and I wanted to tell this story. And then it made me think about why some people get results and why some people don't. And it's led me to make 2 episodes about the kind of roadmap to results and what mindset and what habits and behaviors you need to adopt to get to where you want to be and to live the life that you deserve to live. Hope you've enjoyed this little episode, and I'll see you back next week.
Thanks for listening to the Treat Your Business podcast. Hit subscribe now and keep joining me for bigger insights, bolder conversation to help you build a clinic and a life you love.